gang. This is probably going to be my last update before my breast augmentation, liposuction, and Brazilian butt lift on January 18th. This is the 31st of December. On the 19th of December, my wife and I met with the surgeon that's going to do this procedure, and he took a look at me and took a bunch of pictures of me with no clothes on, so he could figure out where the best to take the fat from and where to put it. He asked me to gain a few more pounds, and I told him I wasn't going to gain a few more pounds. My ideal weight would be 165. Okay. When I met with him last August, it was 175, and he told me I needed to gain 10 pounds in order for him to have enough fat to work with. And I said, okay. So here I am at 183, feeling like he's got about as much fat as he's going to need. And he tells me I got to gain a few more pounds. And I said, no, I'm not making your job easy. You're going to have to get in there and you're going to have to take it out. And he said, well, I'm only going to really be working with about 5 pounds of fat. And I said, well, then you need to leave 10 pounds on the floor, Doc. Can you do that for me? I realized the more weight I gain, the easier it is for you to take the fat out. But, you gotta earn your money. So that's where we're at. I don't like being heavy. I don't like carrying fat, and so I'm not gonna go anymore. I would end up having to diet off all the excess fat that he doesn't remove, and in doing so, I would diet off the fat that he transplanted to my butt and hips. So I may end up being kind of stuck at whatever weight, about whatever weight I am when I leave there. Give or take the swelling and the water retention and things like that are going to go away. But anyway, it is what it is. We'll see. The tests that you have to go through before surgery like this, where they're going to intubate me and knock me out for 5 hours, I'll be dead to the world. You have to take a lot of tests. You have to do a lot of tests. You have to have an EKG. You have to have a physical from another doctor that will release you to have the surgery. You have to have a full blood work, metabolic panel, CBC, and a white blood cell count. You have to have a urinalysis. And then prior to the surgery, they're going to make me do or take it from me another urine drop and test it. And if it comes up that I have drugs in my system because I lied about being addicted to drugs or something, that they won't do the surgery and I don't get my money back. So, I'm not worried about that. But he does tell you that you got to stop taking all your vitamins, all your supplements, all your HRT 1 to 2 weeks prior to the surgery. He wants 2 weeks. Other doctors may say 1, but they want your liver detoxified. They don't want your liver working on breaking down all of these things when they administer the sedatives, and then post-surgery, the painkillers and the anti-anxiety drugs that you may need. Now, I understand I don't have an anxiety issue, but a lot of people in this community do, and it's it is what it is. I'm not judging anyone, but so some of those people are going to have to go off that medicine prior to surgery, and then they will be put back on some sort of anti-anxiety medicine if that's the case, if they need it, post-surgery. So he prescribed some for me already ahead of time, and we'll get the prescriptions filled and have them ready to go. Another thing this guy likes to do is he has hotels really close by to his place. He doesn't do the surgery in a hospital. He does it in his own office. He has his own operating room in his own building. He's been doing it for 25 years. It actually makes it cleaner because they have to meet certain standards for cleanliness. They get inspected, and he has fewer people in that room. It's not like it's in a hospital where you don't know who's walking there or who put their hand on the doorknob or whatever. So it's actually cleaner. Okay. Once it's cleaned and sterilized, it's cleaned and sterilized. The doors are closed and nobody's using it for anything else until his next surgery. So that's kind of nice. His infection rate is like nothing, nil. So it's kind of cool. Preparation. Got to drink a lot of water. Got to stay completely hydrated. Another interesting thing that I didn't think about that he suggested I do is he told me if you're not already doing it, you need to moisturize the areas and put lotion on the areas that we're going to stretch. That's basically all I have to say about that. Get the skin in those areas as well. I mean, it doesn't hurt to do your whole body, but get the skin in those areas as soft and supple as you can get it prior to the surgery. Now, the day before surgery or the night before surgery, you are to shower with an antibacterial soap and an antibacterial shampoo, and don't put any more stuff on. You go into the operating room with the antibacterial clean and nothing else put on there, but if you've practiced keeping your skin soft and supple, it'll help the skin when it stretches. It may not hurt as much, and it may stretch a little bit easier and make it go better. Like I'm a thin person. I'm a male. I have a male frame. I have very thin hips, very little in the backside area. So that skin can only stretch so far. He can only do so much down there. He can only add so much. He's basically pumping fat in almost a thick liquid form. So when it reaches a certain point and the skin doesn't want to stretch anymore, it's going to start coming right back out the hole around the nozzle, around the whatever it is, whatever his tool is. But it'll only take so much, and so you want to make your skin as soft and supple as you can, so that you can take as much as possible, as much as healthy possible, and then you're going to lose about 35% of that. In a typical Brazilian butt lift, with fat grafted to the hips and the buttocks, you're going to lose about 35% of it. It's going to dissolve, and it's going to assimilate back into your body, and then it'll either deposit as fat or become fat somewhere else, or you can flush it out. You'll flush some of it out in your urine, you'll flush some of it out in your sweat, or you can diet it off later, but it isn't going to be in your butt and hips. The fat that is grafted needs to get integrated, and arteries and veins need to grow in that stuff to feed it. So it's very, very important that you be very careful with that tissue that is inserted in there. You don't sit down for 2 or 3 weeks after surgery. You don't, because you'll smash that stuff and you'll push it away from where it was supposed to settle and take hold. Okay? It's like you take a baggie, fill it with water or a water balloon, and you push on it, it becomes wider and flatter, and that's not what you want. Some girls would like to have a nice little shelf, and a nice little tushy, and would like to have an hourglass figure in their hips. You don't want it flattened out, and you don't want that smashed in. So it's hard. It's very hard, and they make beanbag beds and beanbag pillows with big holes in the middle of them, like donuts, that you can lay in that don't put a lot of pressure on your butt. They make little pads that you can sit on the couch or on a chair that you sit on with your thighs, and they keep your butt up off of the couch or the chair. There's a lot of different things you could do to not put pressure on that area for a few weeks. And the longer you can avoid doing that, the better your results are going to be. And you may not even lose 35% of the fat. But typically that's what people lose. And a big excuse that a lot of plastic surgeons use when people come back unhappy with their results of their Brazilian butt lift is right away they go, well, did you sit down? Did you lay on your back? Did you sleep on your back? Well, that's why. That's why you're not happy. That's why it looks the way it does. That's why it's not as big as you wanted it to be. Okay, so most of them will tell you don't sit down for 3 to 6 weeks. And most human beings will say, well, that's crazy. At some point I'm going to have to sit down. And those surgeons, unfortunately, may use that, if you're honest with them about sitting down, they'll just use that as the excuse. Okay, so I'm going to do everything that I can and everything that I've read about and all the advice I've gotten. I'm going to try to do it all as best as I can. I'm expecting to be in excruciating pain from here all the way down to halfway down my thighs, because then when I'm not, it won't be so bad. I always plan for the worst. Okay, a failure to plan is a plan that fails, and I've always planned for the worst, and then it doesn't seem so bad when it turns out to be not that bad. And I know there's going to be people that watch this channel that have had these procedures done, and they're laughing right now, and they're going, Rachel, you're going to be fine. I'm not trying to be drama queen. I'm just laying out different things that a person could do to prepare for the procedure and then post-op take care of themselves to get the best results. Okay? Yeah, I got a beanbag donut to sit on. Okay? I did. All right? Okay. Yeah, I got a pad to sit on to take the pressure off my butt. Yes, I did. Because I'm not going to get into price. And like I said before, I'm not going to get into criticisms of my surgeon. I can't afford it, and I want to wait and see if I'm happy with the results and how everything went. You know, because I might be ready to give a rave review. So far, so good. You know, I like the person. I do. If I didn't like him, I'd have a hard time giving him all that money. But actually, I did shop around, and his prices are not that bad compared to others. So, you know, like I said in another video, you know, think about what you're going to do before you do it. Plan it out. A failure to plan is a plan that fails. Okay? And I'm looking forward in a few more weeks to possibly, when the weather starts to warm up here, getting out on my shooting range and running some videos on my shooting range with my new bod. If it turns out okay. If it turns out good. If it turns out bad, I don't know. I will tell you this, we're going to go with, for those of you who understand the sizes, we're going to go with a 475 to a 525 cc moderate profile implant, because he wants to get the girls a little closer together here, and I don't want a lot of projection because I'm still trying to present as male. So, you know, I can run a push-up bra or things like that if I want to show some cleavage or whatever. But, you know, 475 to 525 is not small. I already have from HRT, I already have a B cup, so I'm probably going to end up being, we're guessing, I'm going to end up being a big 40C, C plus, or possibly a D. And I think that's big enough. I really do. Now, a D cup is big on almost any girl. Okay, but almost any girl doesn't have shoulders like mine, and almost any girl doesn't have arms like mine. It doesn't have a rib cage and a platform to put these on like mine. So having a D cup doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to look the same as a 5'5", 120-pound woman with a D cup. I'll guarantee you I'm not going to look the same. You know, going to look much smaller. Okay. So anyway, you know, once they're in, I'm not going to take a knife and poke them and drain them down. So we'll just have to live with whatever we get. But I don't want to go too big. It's no matter what anybody tells you, no matter how they show you the implants, no matter what kind of computer-generated programs they have to show you what you're going to look like with that size implant, you're not going to look the same. And those kind of computer-generated programs create unnecessary expectations, which can result in unhappiness, and that's not something the doctors want to have to deal with. You know, so I had a 475, I had a 450 in my hand, and it's not that big. Okay, literally, if I held put a 450 implant in this hand with my fingers the way they are right now, it would be flat on the tips of my fingers. Okay, so I said, fine, go 11% larger, go 475 to 525. And the reason why they run in those ranges is because they might put 25 more or 50 more on one side than the other to make them symmetrical based on what you already have. And one of mine is larger than the other already right now, so they're going to have to do that. They might put 475 in this one and 525 in that one. You know, That's just the way it goes. I will let you know after the surgery. Love and peace to all. And looking forward to 2023 in my new body. Let's just try to accept one another for who they are.